My name is Maria Alvarez. I am 40 years old, and I live inside a house that was never meant to be mine. From the outside, it looks perfect. White shutters, roses blooming in the garden, a porch where neighbors wave as they pass. People envy me. They think I am lucky, blessed, chosen. But every brick carries the weight of a crime. When my father died, grief consumed me. My brother Gabriel was supposed to inherit the house. The will was clear. But Gabriel was abroad, and I was drowning in fear of losing everything. I forged a signature, rewrote a line, and claimed the house as mine. I told myself it was harmless. Gabriel had always been the golden child, the one my father adored. I was the forgotten daughter. Didn't I deserve something for once? But every night, as I walked through the halls, I felt the walls whisper, "Thief, liar." I remember the first night after the funeral. I sat alone in the living room, and the smell of my father's old cigar lingering in the air. The silence was unbearable. I whispered to myself, "It's mine now. It has to be mine." And with that, I sealed my fate. My husband, Victor, loved the house. He bragged to friends, hosted barbecues, and called it our legacy. But Victor was clever. One rainy evening, searching through the attic, he found a box of papers, drafts of the will, letters from my father's lawyer, and one page with my handwriting, clumsily imitating my father's. He confronted me in the kitchen. The storm outside mirrored the storm in his eyes. "Maria," he said, holding the papers, "did you forge your father's will?" I froze. My hands trembled. "Victor, please, I had no choice. Gabriel didn't care. I wanted us to have a future." Victor's lips curled into a cruel smile. "So you stole it. Interesting. That means this house isn't yours, it's Gabriel's, which means I can ruin you whenever I want." From that day, Victor began to blackmail me. He demanded money, obedience, control. If I resisted, he threatened to expose me. My marriage became a prison. I remember lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, listening to Victor's steady breathing beside me. I thought, he owns me now. Not the house, not Gabriel. Victor owns me. Desperate, I turned to Adrian, a lawyer I met through a friend. He promised he could clean up the paperwork so no one would ever discover the forgery. But Adrian wanted more than just legal work. He wanted me. At first I resisted, but Victor's cruelty pushed me into Adrian's arms. We began an affair. Secret meetings in his office, whispered phone calls, stolen weekends. Adrian told me he loved me, that he would protect me. But I didn't realize he had his own agenda. Adrian was close to Gabriel. They had studied together years ago. Adrian admired him. Slowly, I began to suspect Adrian was gathering evidence not to protect me, but to deliver the truth to Gabriel. One night, after we made love, Adrian whispered, "Maria, you can't hide forever. Lies always surface. You should tell Gabriel yourself before someone else does." I shivered. If Gabriel finds out, I lose everything. Adrian's eyes were cold. "Maybe you deserve to." My son, Daniel, was 16. He had always been sharp, curious, and restless. He loved digging into family history, asking questions I never wanted to answer. One afternoon, while researching for a school project, he stumbled upon public records. He found the original will, archived in the county office. It clearly stated, "The Alvarez estate shall pass to my son, Gabriel Alvarez." Daniel stared at the paper for hours, his hands trembling. He couldn't believe it. He printed the document, brought it home, and confronted me. "Mom," he said, his voice shaking, "why does it say Uncle Gabriel owns the house? Why do we live here?" I tried to smile, to dismiss it. "Daniel, sometimes records are wrong. Your grandfather wanted us to have this house." But Daniel wasn't a child anymore. He saw through me. He began investigating further, piecing together the truth. He found Adrian's emails, Victor's threats, and my forged documents. The betrayal hit him harder than anyone else. "You lied to Dad. You lied to Uncle Gabriel. You lied to me. Our whole life is a lie." That night, I heard him crying in his room. I wanted to comfort him, but I knew I was the reason for his tears. Gabriel had returned from abroad, invited by Victor under the guise of reconciliation. Adrian was there too, smirking like a man who knew the storm was about to break. The house was full of relatives, laughter, and clinking glasses. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Daniel stood up in front of everyone, holding the documents. His voice shook, but his words were sharp. "This house doesn't belong to us. Mum forged the will. Uncle Gabriel, it's yours. She lied to all of us." The room fell silent. Gabriel's face turned pale, then red with fury. Victor laughed, clapping his hands. "I told you, Maria. Lies always catch up." Adrian handed Gabriel a folder. Proof of everything. My affair, my forgery, my betrayal. Gasps filled the room. My relatives stared at me as if I were a stranger. My son's eyes burned with anger and disappointment. Gabriel reclaimed the house legally within months. Victor filed for divorce, taking half of my remaining assets. Adrian disappeared, leaving me humiliated. And Danielle, my son, my pride, my reason for living, stopped speaking to me. He told me he couldn't forgive me. "You taught me that family means trust, but you destroyed that trust. I don't know who you are anymore." I moved into a small apartment, stripped of everything I had stolen. The house, the marriage, the family, all gone. Every night, I replayed the confrontation in my mind. The gasps, the silence, Victor's laughter, Daniel's tears. I thought I'd stolen a house, but in truth, I had stolen my own future. After Gabriel reclaimed the house, I moved into a small apartment on the edge of the city. The walls were thin, the neighbors noisy, and the smell of fried food lingered in the hallway. It was nothing like the grand home I had stolen. I remember the first night there. I sat on the floor, surrounded by boxes, staring at a single lamp flickering in the corner. The silence was deafening. I whispered to myself, "This is what I deserve." Victor had taken half of my assets in the divorce. Adrian had vanished, leaving me humiliated. And Daniel, my son, refused to answer my calls. I tried writing him letters, long, desperate confessions. I told him I was sorry, that I had done it all for him, for us. But he never replied. Months passed. I lived like a ghost. I worked at a small bookstore, stacking shelves, pretending to be normal. But every customer's smile reminded me of what I had lost. One day, I saw Daniel on the street. He was taller, stronger, his face hardened. He walked beside Gabriel, laughing. My brother's hand rested on his shoulder like a father's. I froze. My heart ached. I wanted to run to him, to beg for forgiveness. But Daniel's eyes met mine, and they were cold. He turned away, without a word. That night, I cried, until dawn. I realized Gabriel had become the father Daniel always needed, and I had become nothing more than a shadow. Now, at 40, I live alone. I walk past houses with gardens and porches, and I ache. I see families laughing together, and I wonder if Daniel laughs like that with Gabriel. I replay my choices. The greed, the lies, the affair, the betrayal. I thought I was securing a future, but I was only building a prison. This is my confession. Never steal what isn't yours. Never lie to those you love. Never think you can bury the truth, because one day the truth will rise. And when it does, it will take everything from you. I lost my brother. I lost my husband. I lost my son. And I will never get them back.